So welcome, visionary. In this video, we're going to be looking at the 1-3 profile. So if you are a 1-3 profile, I want to hear from you. I want to hear all the details, your aha moments, everything you experience. If you know a 1-3, then this is for them. If you have a 1 or a 3 in your chart, this is also going to be useful for you. So I will look forward to seeing you on the inside. Hello, visionary, and welcome to this series I'm going to be doing on profile. We very, very rarely talk about the two intersecting lines in profile. We usually go through each one of the lines, the 1 through 6, and then you can understand each side of the profile by taking each line and deep diving into that. But rarely do we really dance with the actual combinations of the 12 profiles. And I'm going to take the time in this video series to go really deep through each one of the profiles. There are 12 profiles. In this video, I'm going to start with the 1-3. And just as an FYI, this is being inspired from my book, Illuminating Human Design, the Shadow Side of Profile. And if you'll notice it here, the book is available on Amazon if you want to go even deeper, because in the book, I take even more time. I do contemplations. I take you through the shadows, and I actually go through the shadows of the type and the inner authority as well. So all of that is exposed in the book, and you will probably want to go a little bit deeper into each one of those. And learn more about everyone's profile in your families and your communities. So I am going to do this video series and try and go as deep as I can. And it is going to be such a fun exploration. You can also follow me on Instagram. I'm going to be doing posts for each profile with a little bit different information there. And I will also be doing little videos on TikTok and Instagram about each one of the profiles as we drop these videos as well. So you can find me there at official Raquel Reyna as well. Hello, visionary. Just a quick announcement. We do have our Big Vision Envision timeline jumping coming up. This is a powerful opportunity to visualize the timeline that you want to see yourself walking into before 2027. You see, in human design, the wheel is shifting. You can see this throughout history. Many spiritual mystics have talked about these times of great change. You can see it in astrology, and in human design, we see the wheel shifting come 2027. But what we're also seeing amongst a lot of spiritual communities and even the human design communities is the vision of fear, things collapsing, things falling apart, the end of times, preparing for the worst, the big storm coming. All of these headlines and prophecies create a dynamic and an energy of fear within the body. We believe that in this quantum timeline, you can vibrate at different frequencies to create your personal reality in your home, in your business, with your family, based on a vision and a frequency that you hold with intention, that you focus on to align to, even when we see great change and a lot of wobble happening out there in the world. Within your own context, in your own authority, your own sovereignty, you can hold a balance, you can hold a stillness and a vision for what it is you would like to create in the coming years. So the Big Vision Envision timeline jumping is going to be available for you to join in. I will have some links in the description below, and I hope to see you there. It's going to be epic. All right, visionary, so let's get into it. The lines are part of the deep fractal of your uniqueness. So here's what I mean by that. Each gate has one of 6 lines, 6 colors, 6 tones, and 5 bases. So that means that each gate has 1,080 potential threads. So each chart has 69,120 potential threads. Each chart will have 26 gates. So the idea is that no matter what gate you have, is unique. And so we're here to really celebrate the uniqueness. And the neutrino goes through the base, the tone, the color, and the line before it makes its final expression of the gate. So when we're talking about profile, we're talking about the line to the gate. So we're talking about the line numbers, creates the texture to the hexagrams. So the neutrino stream comes in, each one of the gates has 6 different lines. And so when we're talking about how these lines work, there's this harmonic between the lines. There's a breath, an in and out, a yin, a yang. We move from the 1 to the 3, the 2 to the 5, the 3 to the 6. We have the upper trigram is the transpersonal karma. So the upper trigram is interested in others, and the lower trigram is involved more in themselves, and their karmic process is going to be a personal destiny. It's going to be more about inner world experiences. Profile is always a signpost. The more you resonate to your profile, the healthier you are, the more successful you're going to be, and the closer you are to being yourself. This is a quote from Ra Uru. So traditionally, we see the profiles here as the 1 being the foundation, the 2 being the hermit, kind of being seen on the first story, trying to hide but being seen. The 3 is climbing up the ladder, the martyr and the trial and the error. The 4 we see on the second floor on the phone and talking, networking. The 5 is on the second floor, and you can see that the 5 is a projection field. We can't really see what's going on back there. And the 6 is up on the roof looking to the next hexagram. So this is a traditional human design analogy that's used when talking about the profile. But in this video, we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to be talking about it in terms of the shadow names that we've given each one of the profiles. And in this video, we're going to be specifically discussing the 1, 3. So oftentimes they say that profile is how the world sees you, sort of your costume, but it's deeper than that. It shows you how you move through life. It assists you with your business. It's a very profound and deep expression of who you are. So today we're going to talk about the first line, lower trigram, the profile 1, 3, the investigator, and the martyr. This is a profile that combines both the investigator, and these are just some fun, famous, archetypal examples that I think are useful when you're exploring these energies. It helps to use characters that we all know. So Nancy Drew is, of course, this investigator, and Scooby-Doo is this energy of the investigator and looking for clues. We have Alice in Wonderland, who's always digging and jumping into the rabbit hole,
tumbling down the rabbit hole,
going deeper into these crazy adventures, which is very much a line 1. Now, the DC versus Marvel is this idea of foundational elements. And what it's saying is that the line 1 is really about foundational. And when you compare the Marvel versus DC, these are different worlds, and they have different characters and different storylines, and they're just based in a different fundamental foundational difference. DC has its characters, Marvel has its characters, and so it's a archetypal energy of the foundation in line 1. And then for the line 3, we have the Groundhog Day, which, maybe I'm aging myself here, but This is actually a theme in a lot of movies. A couple other movies that have this theme is this movie Palm Springs. There's also this movie Russian Doll, and the idea is the trial and error, repeat, repeat, repeat until you learn the lesson, until you learn what you need to learn, and then you go on to the next day in these movies. The notion with trial and error and continuing to fail and flop and do things over and over again is a big theme of that line three. Also, the Martyr, we have this tick tock, tick tick boom, which is about the founder of the Broadway show Rent. And it's just about the hard knocks of the line three and the intensity of what you go through to create something and the pain of the fire walk. And he became a martyr who lived and died for Rent, this new Broadway show, and died really right before it hit Broadway. So let's talk about the 1-3, the positive and negative, the this or the that. Sometimes this energy will pull in one direction if you don't balance with the unconscious. Then it might lean too far in the other direction. So, in other words, if you're too far in the investigator or too far into the martyr, it will throw you off balance. You want to think of an airplane system navigation GPS that only has a left turn without a right turn. You take off and then you end up, going in a circle, always leaning towards the left, always making a left turn rather than learning how to balance both sides, the conscious and the unconscious. So the underbelly, when unhealed or unseen, will cause serious havoc in the system. So let's talk about the 1-3. Now, the shadow side of the one is the inquisitor, and it steps into the wise sage when it goes through its learning process. So the one in the black, in the personality, with the red being unconscious, there's a lot of ways to navigate this, and it's a very unique combination. The 1-3 means you're more conscious of being an investigator, but will you let this depth drive you to rise up from the ashes of the fire with your wings out or with your tail between your legs? Meaning, does the curiosity drive your investigation, or do feelings of inadequacy drive your investigation? Do you need to experience a need to know, but this is driven through the insecurity? So pay attention to how your mind is driving the investigation. You want to be pulled by the beauty and the mystery of curiosity. The curiosity should be your muse. So as the line one merges with the line three, you will build your foundation through the process of trying many, many different things. Therefore, you might try and fail quite a bit. So you need to get really comfortable with that process of failure, because it's never about actually failing. It's learning, and it's one step towards your discovery. So you never want to think of anything as a failure. This is part of learning how to process that trial and error, because that is the way that you learn. Now, the line three goes from the shadow, which we call the victim, to the highest expression, which is the nexus trailblazer. So, what it takes to pull yourself up from the victim to the trailblazer is in the fire of trial and error. It's an epic personal resilience and a magnified personal development. So the underbelly is exposed as the martyr falls into the victim. And that's if you go into self-pity or a downward spiral mired by the mistakes that are inevitable, or by any of the failures. So the dark side here could potentially send the victim into self-abuse, despair, or a life of victimhood. However, built in with the three is the resilience to the fire. So, unlike everyone else who makes mistakes, the way you learn from this fire walk, the way you blaze, is more transformational than any other type. So, in other words, you are designed to be the phoenix rising from all of the intensity that you will walk. And it is a fire walk. So it's important for you to understand this, or even if you have children with this profile, because they will go deep in a hole and make a lot of mistakes, and you need to let them learn through failure. We want to stop the children from putting their hands on the fire or on a hot stove, but really they have to do that in order to learn. So letting the child or letting your children learn through the failure is very challenging, but a beautiful experience if you can step back and allow that. So imagine a life lived in the pursuit of truth and stability, where each misstep, each fall feels like a betrayal of your efforts. However, it is the necessary journey that the investigator seeks for that solid foundation. A solid foundation is really, really important. If you never have a foundation, if you're constantly seeking to find the problem, then you might just keep pulling things apart before the foundation is built. So let me give you an example. The investigator will dig in until they find a problem. So when you're talking, let's say, about a relationship, perhaps you want to find everything out about that person. You research, you learn about them, you discover things about them. However, you don't stop until you find one thing about the person that you don't like. And the line one will have a tendency to destroy the entire relationship because it has dug in so deep that it discovered one thing that transformed their feeling from like to dislike. And so they might disregard the entire relationship rather than being able to investigate gently to find things out about someone, but allowing for them to have human error just like all of us. Now, that's not just with humans, it's also with jobs, it's also with discoveries, things that you enjoy. For example, let's say you're a teacher of a certain art form. And as you explore the history, you realize within that art form, there are certain things that you don't appreciate, that you don't like. Maybe one of the founders was a person that you disrespect. You don't want to just throw out the entire art form and then you move on to a different art form and you'll have to negate everything you did before. So you want to be very careful about this. You don't want to dismantle every foundation. You leap from a foundation and you honor everything you learned from that foundation when you move on to the next foundation. So in the shadow of the 1-3 profile, the investigator becomes the inquisitor, driven not out of this curiosity, but out of feeling insecure. They don't know enough. They're not good enough. They need more. They're afraid that they're not good enough. And that causes them to go deeper and deeper and deeper. And then we have the experimenter, the line 3, will become the victim. And they become lost in the pain of the failures while not feeling good enough, digging in deeper and spiraling into the despair of self-doubt. Now, that is the shadow of both how the 1-3 can operate together in its negative. But there is a magic in the 1-3, and that lies in their strength, in their power, in their resilience to rise up, to walk the fire, but to not let it completely burn them. Because the shadow is not the end, it is the beginning. And every misstep holds wisdom. Every failure is a catalyst for transformation. So when the victim confronts the lessons within their failures, they rise as the Nexus trailblazers from the ashes of defeat. They sprout wings of innovation. They turn the pain into progress, the calamity into opportunity. They show the world that resilience is the true foundation of greatness. So the inquisitor transforms and evolves into the wise sage. They seek and they learn. They are no longer driven by fear. The investigation becomes a dance with the mystery of life. They learn, not for validation, but for the pure joy of the discovery. They're sharing their insights to empower other people. This is the path of the 1-3, to walk the fire of transformation, to rise above these fears and the failures, and to illuminate the way. And then they show it to others, what they've learned, everything they've tried. They become so powerful in their experience of trial and error that they can teach anyone what they have mastered. So this is from victim to trailblazer and inquisitor to sage. This is the evolution of the life lived boldly and authentically as the 1-3 profile: resilience, growth, empowerment. The wise sage turns in to the Nexus trailblazer.